everyone and welcome back. So today we are talking about Mare of Easttown episode 4, and damn, what an episode. So what I got out of it is how badly this town is losing the war on drugs and how deeply it affects pretty much everybody here. And we'll just get right into it. Let's just talk about this serial kidnapper. So at the heart of the case is Erin, so who killed this girl? And then in the background there are these missing persons cases. So one of them being this girl Katie, and she's the daughter of Dawn, which is Mare's childhood friend. And so it seems this girl Katie had gone missing, and this was one of the cases that Mare could not solve, and they kind of assumed that she's dead. And the reason for this is because she was involved in drugs, prostitution, so there's really nothing here. And then halfway through the case, they get kind of a lucky break, and there's another kidnapping. And we come to find out that these girls are not being murdered, but they're kind of being thrown into this room, and we're not really sure why. So it got me thinking, like, maybe whoever did this, like, this is their sick way of trying to help these people or kind of intervening in a town that so desperately needs intervention. And so the episode starts with Mare in bed, and I was impressed with Mare this episode. She was very open to receiving criticism. She wasn't as annoying and as like standoffish. So for a while she pretends to go to work because she's too ashamed to tell her family like what she did. And then surprisingly in a family meeting she came clean. She said, hey, so I planted some evidence on some girl and that's why I've been suspended. And although her family was pretty upset with her, I commend her for admitting her wrongdoings. And therapy, so a part of her sort of condition, one of the things she has to do for pretty much almost framing someone for something they didn't do is to go to grief counseling. And I was surprised. She went into the grief counselor's office and she was open, she was ready, she sat there rambling, like let the healing begin. Like I kind of cringed at that. But I think Mare, like what we know of Mare is that she became a police officer because of her father. And I think for her, like people dump things on her, like they tell her everything. They want her to resolve everything. So she kind of takes on like the role of this father where she's very, you know, there's like a wall and she has to keep a strong face so people can kind of lean on her, but nobody ever does anything for her. And I think like when she came into the room, she just started like, she was just relieved, you know, like finally I don't gotta listen to these people. And we find out a lot about her son. Apparently he didn't just commit suicide, he was a violent drug addict. And she was kind of scared of him. Like we get flashbacks of kind of him trying to steal money from her. And this is something that like seeing her afraid of her son was quite jarring. And again, like this is not a public persona of hers that we get. And so she is trying to navigate through her grief while at the same time minding other people's business, leaving her poor partner all by himself. So Zabel comes into the office and he's like, yo, where's Mare? Like, what's up? And they tell him that like she's suspended. They don't tell him why she's suspended, and he's sad because his partner, now he's stuck with, I guess, a former teacher of his. And I don't know if you guys peeped this, but that guy is from Law & Order SVU. So I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. And his love interest. So for me, they don't make sense. Like, I don't understand Zabel and Mare. Like, I'm not feeling the chemistry, but maybe that's just me. Like, it feels kind of like a forced storyline. But you guys let me know what you think. So Zabel is on his own. He has to solve this case by himself. And their only suspect is this Deacon. And this Deacon, honestly, he looks like a really good suspect, especially if you consider the fact that whoever is doing this may think that he's actually helping these girls. And we find out that he was accused of basically harassing a 14-year-old girl. And so it's likely that he could be the father of Erin's baby. So we find out that Erin's baby daddies, we don't know who they are. And he could be a possibility because they met when she was a child. And so this Deacon, like, I'm not gonna lie, in my heart, I don't think he's guilty. Like, I think he's covering for someone or he's just trying to protect himself. And Zabel basically says, hey, you need to get your story straight because we're gonna tell. And I suspect they leaked this information to the press. But this Deacon, again, is like a distraction. And I'm glad we got the serial kidnapping storyline because I'm not sure how many more sort of false decoys we could get. And so Zabel is all alone, he doesn't have Mare, and so is pretty much everybody else in this town, specifically Dawn. And this storyline with Dawn and Katie was really sad. And it was sad because, you know, again, they're losing this war on drugs and just the aftermath of, because we don't really see this, like if, the thing with having, dealing with somebody who has a drug addiction or dealing with a sick child, like the only people who know this are the people who are dealing with it, right? Like you don't, unless you're dealing with it, you don't really know or care, or you can't really see what's going on with anybody else. So Dawn is the mother of Katie. Her daughter has gone missing. She blames Mare for not being able to find her. And she gets a phone call, a random phone call that says, hey, if you kind of give me $5,000, I'm gonna tell you where your daughter is. And logically, she knew it was bullshit. And you saw that at the end of the episode. And we knew it was bullshit. Like I knew who it was. Like I wasn't surprised at all. Like I was listening to the voice, and the person who does it actually makes a cameo midway through, and you're like, it was that guy. But you know, she tries to hold on to hope that her daughter's still alive, even though she really feels like she's dead. So she gets this phone call saying, you know, $5,000, I'll tell you where your daughter is. And she's trying to figure out what to do. She can't talk to Mare because Mare is in therapy. So she talks to her neighbor. And as she's talking to her neighbor, you see that, again, literally everybody's affected by this. It's such a norm. And that's the thing that kind of binds them. And there's no judgment between anyone because, again, they understand what the other parent is going through or the other person is going through. And so she's kind of left with robbing the store, the convenience store that she works at. And this is quite frustrating because, you know, Dawn was lucky and unlucky in a lot of ways because halfway through the episode, another girl goes missing. And this other girl who goes missing is kind of like the break they need because at this point they're at a dead end. They don't know what to do. Like, they're really kind of stuck. So this random girl goes missing and we kind of see a snippet of this girl going missing. And at first I thought she was dead. I'm like, oh my God, there's a serial killer on the loose. And of course at the end we see that she's not dead. But what this does is it expands the number of possibilities and it enables them to connect the dots better to kind of figure out what it is they're not seeing. So Mare being Mare is like, you know what, this is the break I need. And even though her ass should be at home, she's been like watching videos, trying to figure out all these things about Erin, and she really relates to Erin because Erin was someone who's trying to be a good mother and Mare doesn't seem to be a very good mother. So Mare being Mare knocks on Zabel's door. She's like, hey, what's up? Like minding his business. Like she just kind of invites herself in. And again, I'm not sure about this love interest, but anyways, so they get to talking about this missing girl and we find out her background, which is that she was an honors student. She was someone who was doing very well for herself before she fractured a hip, and then she became addicted to like Oxycontin and all these things and leading her to prostitute herself. And one of the most important pieces of information is that she put an ad on this website, and apparently this website is also an ad where this girl Katie had also kind of sold herself. So they're able to connect maybe these two people, but they can't connect Erin. And then so the question is, was Erin selling herself? And the answer is highly likely because from the start of the season, we were told about this ear surgery and the father would not allow it. And side note on this father, this guy's trash. Like he was complaining that he wasn't the father of this baby, but he wasn't even a good father when he thought he was the father. So I was confused as to why he was so upset. But anyways, so knowing that Erin had a very strong reason to sell herself, it becomes highly likely. So where do they go? The best friend. And this best friend is something else. Like she was hiding something. She was not being honest. And it could be that she was covering for herself. So they go over to this best friend's house. The same best friend, mind you, that thought the baby's daddy was Frank. And it makes you wonder, like, is this girl purposely giving them distractions? Like, what is it? You know, maybe she was doing something that she shouldn't have been doing. So they go over and they're like, okay, was this girl selling herself? And at first she denies it, and then she shows them the website. So Erin was trying to sell herself in order to get money for the surgery. And they show her the website. And the most peculiar thing is when Jess was like, but she didn't sell herself. She didn't meet with any of these guys. And I was like, how do you know that? And even Mare was like, that's bullshit. But I'm not going to say anything because your mother is here. And so one of two things, either this girl was selling herself too, or she, you know, she might be incriminated in some way, but this girl has been giving us all kinds of decoys, so I don't know. And Mare is shady. Like Mare is the definition of like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So they question this girl, they leave the house, and then she goes, I forgot my phone. And she goes back and says, where did this girl keep her journals? So it seems that Erin kept a lot of journals detailing her feelings and her life. And from the very beginning, we saw that Erin is someone who likes to talk about her feelings. Like she was talking to anything. Like she was talking to her baby, like whoever. Like she wrote things down. She talked out loud. Like somewhere she wrote down who killed her, that's for sure. And so she goes back and she says, where's this girl's journals? Without telling Zabel. So think about that. Like they both go in to question this girl. They leave the house. Mare pretends like she forgot her phone, and then she goes back in. And I was like, you did this for what? And my thinking is that she's worried that someone she may know may be connected to this girl's death, and she's trying to get ahead of it. Because Mare likes to be one step ahead of people. And, you know, it's curious, right? Because she's watching this girl's tapes and she's looking for clues. And, you know, she writes down earlier in the episode journals, like, I need to find these journals. And so she finds the journals. And again, this was such a peculiar scene at the end of the episode. But before we talk about that, like, shout out to Jean Smart, like that whole sequence. So there was a lot of things going on in this episode. Were all these things necessary? Honestly, maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But one of the most peculiar things is they insist on letting us know about Siobhan and whatever's going on with her. I don't know why. Maybe it'll connect, but I guess just to let us know how people are dealing with grief and the aftermath of this drug war. And so Siobhan breaks up with her girlfriend, and then now she has a new girlfriend. Anyways, so Jean Smart, which is Mare's mother, I forget her name off the top of my head. Anyways, she is at home alone one night, and she opens the door, and Siobhan's ex is standing there. And Siobhan's ex is being like, you know, Siobhan broke up with me, like, I feel so bad. And rather than just be like, hey, I'll let her know you came along, she says, come inside and wait. Like, if your grandmother does this, you need a new grandmother. Like, that was psychotic. Like, and she knew when she let this girl into the house, like, she messed up. And of course, Siobhan comes back with her new girlfriend, and all hell breaks loose. Like, I enjoyed that scene. Like, I was like, y'all are messy as hell. That was necessary. And I really enjoy Mare's mother. Like, she adds like a comic relief, because she's just she's just on the outside looking into this like shit show that is her family's life. But anyway, she's rolled out on a stretcher after trying to like salvage the situation. Her daughter has no sympathy for her. And I don't know, I just enjoyed that. So we get to the end of the episode, and Mare is going into Erin's room, and she finds the journals, or she finds like a necklace, and she finds some cards, but I don't think she found the journals. Correct me if I'm wrong. And again, she's doing this alone. So this is already highly suspect. So again, what her reasons are, we don't know. And then Dawn, poor Dawn. So Dawn decides to take this tip and go meet whoever this guy is. And of course, you know, her daughter wasn't there. It was a scam. And the person who scammed her is like this known drug addict in the neighborhood and the brother of a close friend of hers. And that was sad for a lot of reasons. So first reason is that she obviously knew it was going to be a scam. Like, some part of her knew that this was BS, but wanted to hold on to the hope. Because earlier you would see that she was about to steal $5,000, and instead she put like kind of ripped up missing persons poster to trick whoever. But, you know, she went in with such hope. Like, I was watching her go into that house, and I was like, oh my God, like, she has nothing to lose. And that's the sad part, you know what I mean? Like, Dawn is a mother with nothing to lose. Like, she's just tired. Like, any hope is better than no hope at this point. And so that was quite tragic. And her reaction to it was even more tragic. So she goes over to her friend's house. Like, after this whole thing is finished, she goes back home, and her friend's like, oh, what happened to your face? Like, what happened? And she's like, yeah, you know, it turns out it was a scam. Like, she wasn't honest. You know, she didn't want to break this girl's heart and say, your brother called me and tried to trick me. But again, it speaks to this like understanding that, you know, the drug war has kind of killed all these people, and it continues to kill people. And she was just like, you know, as angry as I am, I get why he did what he did, and you got enough on your hands. So that was a very selfless thing to do at the end. And I felt really bad for her. I was like, damn. And that's how the episode ends. So I don't know who Mare went on a date with. I hope she sticks to Guy Ritchie. Like, these love storylines, like, I don't know if they're necessary, to be honest, at this point, because Mare looks like she's not really into anyone. As far as Dawn and Katie, like that ending. So I guess they're like, whoever is doing this is throwing these girls into a basement. What the reason is, we don't know. But it seems like this town was long overdue for something really bad to happen, because everybody has tunnel vision and they don't really see straight. So that's what I thought of the episode. It's clear that this murder storyline is kind of like secondary. Like, the real tragedy here is the war on drugs, I think, and how people deal with having a loved one who is in this type of situation, which again is not a situation you understand unless you're dealing with that type of situation, right? Anyways, you guys let me know what you think, and until next time.